We found out on Wednesday that the opening credits of the new Marvel show Secret Invasion make use of AI-generated images. Naturally, this divided opinion, and yes, that is a significant understatement. Let's talk about it. First, this video is spoiler-free. I'll be talking about the first episode of Secret Invasion in very vague terms, so yeah, you can watch this without worrying about that. Second, I am not a fan of so-called AI art, or generative AI more widely. That is, your ChatGPTs, your Midjourneys, the stuff that turns text input into media output, the type of thing Joe Russo is so enthusiastically misinformed about. Admittedly, I'm not an expert, but I know enough about the technology, how it's being used, how it's likely to be abused, to be very skeptical of the ramifications this type of AI could have in entertainment, in employment, in politics, and just in general, to the point that if I had a magic lever that'd indefinitely pause all further research into generative AI around the globe, yeah, I'd probably pull it. Maybe that makes me a Luddite, but the Luddites were based as fuck, so I'm fine with that. All that being said, here's my hot take. I think the Secret Invasion credits are fine, cool even, mostly. And if you feel like sticking around for the next 11-ish minutes, I'll tell you why. Starting with the headline, Secret Invasion is all about AI. Well, that is overselling things slightly, but this is a show about the power of misinformation, about a world that's failed to keep up, about false images being generated and wreaking havoc. Secret Invasion, the Disney Plus series, could only have existed in a post-fake news world. Describing the show, Polygon writes, "One second you're looking at Nick Fury or an esteemed world leader, the next you see their face morph into something or someone else entirely." How easily could the world be destabilized if you could watch people doing things they didn't do, hear them saying words that never crossed their lips? How fast can things change? Can the threats develop, iterate, leap forward unrestrained, now that they're out there, now the genie's out of the bottle? The show's about the risk of believing the wrong thing, but it isn't just about the risk of believing the wrong thing, it's about the fact that everything is different now that this is a possibility. The parallels to the type of issues posed by AI are numerous and immediately apparent. With few exceptions, the type of threats made possible by the existence of Skrulls also become dangers in a world with sufficiently advanced generative AI. Regardless of how far back production stretched, to release a show with this story in 2023 is to release a show implicitly responding to the recent leaps forward in artificial intelligence. This is all subtext in the show proper, but I'll say it. I think alerting the viewer to this, prompting these questions from minute one or thereabouts in this way is cool and kinda smart. But the success isn't purely thematic, it's also tonal. That same Polygon article reveals that director-producer Ali Selim was fascinated with the ways in which the AI could translate the sense of foreboding he wanted for the series. Selim says the idea to have Method Studios use AI on the sequence came right out of the shape-shifting Skrull world identity, you know? Who did this? Who is this? I think it's fair to say that that attempt to unsettle succeeded better than they could have hoped for. And let's be clear, this glitchy style wasn't just a way to skip out on paying artists, it was the point. If Marvel simply wanted to generate realistic-looking backdrops for their credits with these AI tools, they could have done, they would have done. What we're seeing in this opening sequence isn't Method Studios pushing generative AI to its limits, attempting to make the most human-passing imagery they could. This isn't the best these tools are capable of. This is a clear attempt to recreate the popular perception of what AI art looks like, to supplement this shifting, impressionistic sequence with an evocation of viewer AI anxiety. The fact that this isn't simply drawing on generative AI, but on the perception of generative AI, is what takes it from hacky to inspired. This also indicates that this whole cloth use of generative AI is not likely to become the norm for Marvel. It's so obvious, so in your face, so clearly purposeful here that this type of usage could only really be a one-off. This is emphatically not a case of Marvel trying to normalize something on the down low, slip generative AI under the viewer's radar. And zooming out from the discourse back into the show, on a purely aesthetic level, the choice to employ that familiar, firmly uncanny AI style achieves the desired effect, and then some. That all paints a pretty rosy picture, which is probably wrong. This is definitely not all positive. The way I've described the role these credits play kind of made out that Secret Invasion was in a neutral position, using AI generations to comment disinterestedly on the phenomenon at a remove. And this is obviously not the case. By using AI generation to build an intro sequence for such a high-profile show, Secret Invasion has itself become a step forward in the development and proliferation of the very thing it seems concerned about. Again, there is a distinction to be made here. Non-generative AI, traditional machine learning, that's been used by Marvel for ages. They used it to make Thanos. According to the VFX teams behind the Mad Titan, visualizing Thanos would have been practically impossible without AI. That technology didn't replace workers, it augmented their abilities, sustaining, creating jobs instead. Generative AI is the worrisome thing here. That is the thing with the potential to replace artists, and the potential to kick misinformation campaigns into hyperspeed. Generative AI is where the ethics get dicey, and there is something darkly ironic in the parallel between AI-exploited artists and the Skrull's human shells. Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and so on aspire to replace the very same artists whose work, often non-consensually, was used to train them. Secret Invasion sees graphic Skrulls appropriate the bodies and features of those who they sim for their own purposes which also tend to run counter to what those simmed subjects would have wanted. So yeah, despite the aesthetic success, it seems like there is a hypocrisy here, one that hasn't yet been, and let's be honest, probably won't be, reconciled by the show. Is all this worth it for a credit sequence, however well it fits, whatever questions it provokes? Maybe not. As James Whitbrook wrote in an article for Gizmodo, this is a scary line to cross, and I think it is a shame Marvel were the ones to do it, regardless of any potentially mitigating context. What's troubling here is the knowledge that such a high-profile use could well inspire copycats who don't see or don't care that here it was done for a reason, who might simply churn out less stylized, more realistic, less noticeable AI imagery to fill out credit sequences in their own projects. So again, this is definitely not all positive, but let's not leave it there. At present, it's hard to gauge how much of an impact one credit sequence will have on the wider industry, but I do think there's only so far we can hold eventual lazy copycat actions against Secret Invasion. And on balance, if you approach this one-off usage as itself, and not as the potential wider impact on the industry, if you're thinking just about the use of generative AI tools to create this specific sequence for this specific series to evoke these specific things, I think this is okay. I think this is the most okay it's ever going to be. Really, I think this is the best use case for generative AI tools. I'll come back to what I mean there in a couple of minutes, but in this case, yes, generative AI is a tool. That feels worth pointing out. The whole sequence is not AI, the text isn't, the music isn't, the selection and sequencing of these images, this whole thing was very obviously put together by humans. Again, via Polygon, the staff for the credits includes producers, designers, and an AI technician. The Gizmodo article makes the point that we're not really being given any specifics as to how many staff worked on the sequence, and that the number seems to pale in comparison to the amount of VFX artists working on the rest of the show, but this is a credit sequence. Sometimes those are amazing, collaborative affairs, requiring whole hosts of talent to put together, but often they're not, at least compared to the body of the show. And again, no expert, but it seems unlikely that significantly fewer people were employed to put together these credits than, say, Loki's or The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's. AI taking jobs away from artists on a wider scale is obviously bad. The tech's probably a few years away from this being a major problem. Again, Secret Invasion is one of the only shows where the glitchy imperfections associated with AI generation in its current state work stylistically, but yeah, bad. From the information we've been given, though, it doesn't seem that this is a case of that replacement. Insert Skrull joke here. It doesn't seem like the choice was, shall we hand animate a glitchy, shifting landscape of almost realistic images, or shall we just get an AI to do that? It seems like the concept of drawing on that AI aesthetic came before any visual outline, and that's pretty neat. Patreon supporters will remember the discussion we had in April's exclusive on the way credit sequences have become increasingly inventive spaces, interacting with the body of the work in ever more complex ways. And we see Secret Invasion taking a step toward embracing the potential of the paratext in this decision. If you make an effort to separate out the labor argument here from the artistic one, the ethics from the aesthetics, if you hold both as valid, to some degree linked, but to some degree independent, the case of Secret Invasion's credits becomes a fascinating one. As suggested above, the general reaction to all this has been explicitly negative, and I understand that. I sympathize with it, but I think it's a broad reaction to a specific case, the particulars of which complicate things in a way not everyone is necessarily considering. Now, if it comes out that more traditional credits were planned but got axed to keep costs down or something like that, obviously that'd change things, but for the time being, I see this as an effective, novel, and taken in isolation, maybe ethically dicey, but relatively harmless move. People love to conflate how good a piece of art is with how good that piece of art is. When the Justin Roiland stuff broke, half the internet reflexively disavowed Rick and Morty, flipping right away to the position that it's shit actually. It always had been, and they'd always thought so, because it's easier to do this than to exist in a world where bad people can make good art, or where, in our case, richly creative choices can emerge from moral quandaries. They made a really effective decision here, but should they have, is a way more exciting discussion to me than this looks like shite, not watching it, Marvel bad. Or another perspective. At the end of the day, generative AI tools like this exist. We don't have a magic lever, we can't uninvent it. It is going to be used in one way or another, so doesn't it make more sense to appreciate limited, appropriate, effective uses like this? Generative AI is a tool, at present a fairly limited one, the existence of which raises a lot of questions, portends ominously further change, but a tool that nevertheless exists, and does offer possibilities for interesting use. I guess the bottom line of this video is, I think this is one of those interesting uses. Look, maybe this is a bad take, the unthinkably rare pillar of garbage L. I was in two minds about making it, so if you do think I'm chatting wham, please do let me know in the comments down below. I'm open to having my mind changed here, but otherwise that's probably it. Oh, and hey, the actual episode after the credits, pretty good, right? Some of the dialogue was a little expository, but the chemistry and the tone, mwah, chef's kiss. Thanks for watching though, and huge thank you and shout out to Eric Ravenscraft, who provided some immensely helpful feedback on this video's script, and contributed more than a few fantastic ideas. That parallel between the Skrull shells and the AI-exploited artists, for instance, that was his. Go give him a sub or a follow is my point. And special thanks to all of my patrons you're seeing now, especially Daniel Goldhorn, Heather Long, Ryan Emily, and Weirdy Beardy. And come back next time for a video essay about masculinity and Treasure Planet.